short narrative of my personal story, because I want to engage in the conversation as soon as possible. There have been many things that have been mentioned here, and I would like to react to this. Well, I've been a university professor for now since the 90s. At the beginning, I was just a reader for Gallimard, which I wrote a report of the book, and at the same time, I was finishing my PhD, my dissertation. And then I finished that dissertation. I got a position at the French university, and at that moment, they had to choose either a publisher or academic. And I say, why? Why? So I get to an agreement with the university and with the publishing house, and so I do both for the last 30 years. It means I don't have much time for me or for my friends. It's a catastrophe socially for me. But I manage, and I like to live the way I do it for the last 30 years, doing both things. For a certain time, I couldn't match, on one side I was a Latin American professor, I was teaching Latin American literature, and I was working as an editor for Gallimard, choosing content, mainly Latin American fiction and Spanish fiction to translate. So I have to try to work in both things, and I couldn't really match them. And since 2010, I created a master program for publishing where I can finally be happy, because I am at the same time I'm teaching at the university, publishing, and I'm still working at the Gallimard house. Okay, so I have I work in the inside the machine, like you and like Cecilia, and at the same time I am a university academic, so I look in a critical way this machine, this strange machine. And I would like to underline that, Thompson said very well that his work is on the Anglo-American world, because publishing, there is no global publishing. Publishing there are different fields and different countries globally too. Do not believe that there are global publishing. No, there are very different markets in the world that function in very different ways. China doesn't work in the same way as the US or the Anglo-American world, and Europe do not work in the same way. So please, one of the first things I have to say to my Anglo-American friends is that the world is not exactly the same everywhere. We have very different ways of functioning, And so the first thing, I agree with Thompson, I understand Cecilia point, but I would like to come to say that the four difficulties you raised about the independent publishing. These problems do not arise in the same way in the Anglo-Saxon world and in France, Spain, or Latin American countries, since there is an essential difference that you mentioned, which is the existence of a fixed price for the book. In Spain, in France, and in several Latin American countries, like Mexico and Argentina, for instance, publishers set a price for each book, and retailers can only offer 5% discount on that price for the first year of the book sale. So both the small independent bookseller and Amazon offer the book at virtually the same price and can coexist within the same market. This has allowed independent bookstores to survive in fixed price country, where they can support and promote independent publishers' books and make them available for readers. That's something it's very important to understand. There is no channel of commercialization on one side and books on the other. there is an important solidarity between the kind of channel of commercialization and the kind of books you sell. You see what I mean? Okay, and this is important because in the countries where there is no fixed price, the larger retailers and the online distribution, I mean Amazon set the price they want. And thus they have been putting an end to many independent bookstores that cannot offer the same kind of discount, and even destroyed some bookstore chains like Borders. They couldn't, at one moment they had to close because they couldn't go on. So that makes retailers and online booksellers, that make them powerful, terribly powerful when it comes to the circulation of a book in a society. You know, more powerful than ever, as Thompson said. That's really dangerous today for many of us. We live in democracies, you know, and we want books to circulate freely too. And what we have now is a real danger for the future of our opinions and knowledge and ideas, because we are living something that is not normal, not normal. In Spain, in France, the independent bookshops are much more welcoming to the independent publishers than Amazon, of course, or department stores, or large retailers that demand a volume of sales and a speed of rotation that often do not correspond to the type of literature that produce many independent houses. That's clear. So here it is important for me to underline again the solidarity that exists between independent publishing and the independent bookstores. And that allows us to see that within the field of publishing, commercial channels are not disconnected from the type of works that circulate through them. That's a message that I want you to keep today. This is very important. Another difference that it's important today is the visibility of the production of independent publishers in the media. Okay? It's very easy for big conglomerates to get articles or get their authors in a radio or TV program. It is much more difficult to the independent publishers, and that remains a major imbalance as large publishers have faster access to traditional media when it comes to promoting their books. Today, it is still a big difficult for an independent publisher to get their books seen in traditional media, but I have to say this too, because there is a future also for independent publishers. It should be stressed that in recent years, the development of the promotion of books on social networks and the importance that promotion is getting today in booktubers, Instagram, Facebook, in many social media or social web, that has partially compensated this distance. Because I can see it, I have noticed that independent publishers in Latin America, in Spain, in France are extremely active online, that they know how to promote their content on social networks, that they organize audience online with events online or through independent shops. And that strategy shortens the distance and allows them to reach a younger audience. That's very important. Independent are reaching younger audience, while conglomerates still working with radio, TV, and press are not reaching that audience that now gets information through the social networks. Okay. Finally, I will say that the question of viability it's very important today. You know, in this time of crisis, it's really an important issue, viability for the book. You have said it, the vulnerability of these structures is enormous. They are very often exposed to risk. But at the same time, I think, and I hope you will agree with me, that there is a dynamism of many small houses that are associating to work together, for instance in Argentina, to face the crisis, sharing suppliers, paper purchases, distribution strategies. So there is also a positive attitudes from independent houses to face this time of crisis, mainly the problem of inflation today and the paper price. rise enormously. To conclude this overview, this quick overview, I would like to add that the independent houses continue to be indispensable for the bibliodiversity of our cultural fields, for me, in at least 3 different ways. I would say the first one, because of the diversity of the production, which not only involves authors' difference of class, race, and gender, but also the very variety of the type of books they make. For instance, in Latin America and in Spain, poetry publishers are generally independent publishers. Okay? Short story publishers are very often independent publishers. You know? So they bring the diversity, the bibliodiversity to our societies. The second way they sustain diversity is through the translations and the translation policies that they have. They bring authors from different parts of the world and circulate them. You know, the conglomerates translate in France, in Spain, in Latin America a lot of, English-speaking writers. Okay, they translate a lot from English, but small houses in Spain, in France, in Latin America translate from other languages which are not the hegemonic or dominant language. That's very important. The diversity in cultural terms and linguistic terms come through independent publishing. And the third thing I will say is diversity is also manifested in the way in which independent publishing welcomes new voices, and you just said about that, Cecilia, and the way they continue to be a hotbed for contemporary literature, for new voices, you know, from different parts of our society. Okay? So that's what I would like to say, to highlight my vision of independent publishing, and I hope this will help to engage our conversation. Thank you.